Chapter 1. Veiled Brilliance. The blueprint unfurls like a secret, its lines whispering across the table. A woman's hand steady, deliberate it traces the curves of a building that doesn't yet exist. The ink is fresh, the vision sharper than the steel that will one day rise from it. But the name at the bottom, faded, almost invisible. Marion Mahony Griffin was not supposed to be forgotten. Yet history, with its selective memory, has a way of erasing the hands that shaped the world. She drew the plans for Frank Lloyd Wright's masterpieces, sweeping lines of Taliesin, the organic grandeur of falling water, but her name was rarely spoken alongside his. The world saw a genius. It did not see the woman who made his genius possible. This is the story of the architect who stood in the shadows, the one who designed the future while being written out of it. The first time Marion Mahony picked up a pencil, she didn't know she was defying an entire century. Architecture was a man's domain, a fortress of ego and brick. But Marion had always been stubborn. At the Chicago Art Institute, she studied under the stern gaze of instructors who believed women belonged in parlors, not drafting rooms. She proved them wrong with every stroke of her pen. By 1901, she was working for Frank Lloyd Wright, a man whose ambition burned as brightly as his temper. Wright was a force of nature, a charismatic, voluble, impossible to ignore. Marion, she was the quiet storm behind him. While he courted clients with grand speeches, she translated his sketches into precise, buildable blueprints. While he chased fame, she chased perfection. And yet, when the Prairie School movement took America by storm, the credit flowed in one direction. Wright's name was etched into history. Marion's, a footnote, a whisper. Her drawings were more than technical documents, they were art. She infused them with color, with life. The buildings she helped create weren't just structures, they were stories. And Marion, she was a storyteller, but the world didn't see the storyteller. It saw the man who stood in front of the camera. There's a photograph from 1914 that tells the truth better than any biography. Wright stands in the center, arms crossed, the picture of confidence. Behind him, barely visible, is Marion. She's holding a drawing, her expression unreadable. A collaborator, a secretary, the image doesn't say. But the truth is in the details. The lines on that paper, those are hers. Years later, when Wright's career was in shambles, when his empire had crumbled, Marion was the one who rebuilt it. She designed the plans for Australia's capital city, Canberra, a project that could have made her name immortal. But Wright, ever the shadow, loomed over her work. Even in victory, she was secondary. The most tragic part, she knew. She knew she was being erased. In private letters, she wrote of her frustration, her anger. But she never stopped. She never walked away. Because Marion Mahony Griffin was not just an architect, she was a survivor. And survival, in a world that wanted to forget her, was an act of rebellion. The blueprint on the table is still there, waiting. The lines are crisp, the vision clear. But the name at the bottom, it's fading. The ink is running dry. Unless we remember. Unless we listen. Because the story of architecture isn't just about the buildings. It's about the hands that built them, the minds that dreamed them, the women who were there all along. And Marion, she was there. She was always there. The next chapter begins where the shadows grow deeper, where the truth is buried, where the silent architect finally speaks. And the world will have to listen.